Moto song also. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting session of the Tech Edge. Uh, the series, as we started, always has an AI embedded in it, and today it's not going to be different again. It's going to be a wonderful power packed session. As usual, you'll see a familiar face, a real mentor for Tech Edge, Dinesh Ji Tejwani. I welcome Dinesh Ji on this platform. And today we have a very young and a very bright speaker, Harsh Jain, with us. Harsh, if I were to tell you all friends that Harsh comes from a fantastic background of doing something unimaginable. Even in the company that it comes from is the PerpetualBlock, and I'm sure Dinesh Ji will talk about it more. But let me tell you, it's very interesting when we have conversations with people like Harsh. You will understand the science and the art, how it has blended together to give something absolutely fantastic to anyone and everyone. And before we could start, let's have the ICI Moto song. I would request all of you to please put your hands on your heart and request the background team to please play the ICI Moto song.
य एष सुप्तेषु जागृति य एष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
All right, thank you everyone. Warm welcome once again. Good evening. I am C. Arpit Kavra, past chairman WIRC. Today, we are continuing with this beautiful trend of Tech Ed series, and today joining us on a very important topic, on a very important conversation, prompt engineering. We have Harsh Jain with us, and of course, a mentor in all of us. The Tech Edge has found a new sense and new productivity and new value through Dinesh Ji Tejwani. Welcome, Dinesh Ji, and thank you for being always there and supporting us in this series. I also welcome Hina Bora. Hina Bora is the coordinator. Thank you for taking our time. And thank you to all the participants who have ensured that every time we do a Tech Ed series, you've been supportive enough. Someone who have actually thought that, let's even have these conversations. It's all because of each one of you that we are having this non-stop sessions on Tech Edge continuously throughout. Thank you very much, all of you. On this note, I welcome all of you. Thanks to the wonderful team led by Ankit Rathi, the chairman of WRC. I think we are doing fabulous work there. And let me all share with you, we are all gearing up for the biggest extravaganza of the year, Sashakta CA Viksit Bharat, our regional conference, which is going to held on 23rd, 24th August. I would request all of you to please do register for this conference at the Geo Convention Center at BKC, and it will be a one of its kind conference. And believe me, the lineup of speakers, the sessions, and everything that is being planned are just brilliant. With this note, thank you very much, Dineshji. I hand it over to you to please introduce Harsh, set up the tone for today's session, and let the audience today who are here with us understand how important it is to customize, to get the deliverable from a chat GPT or from a prompt engineering, how you can get it best for your own self. I and Dineshji cannot exchange our shirts. Same way is our prompts. And with this setup, with this example, I invite Dineshji to please take up next. Thank you.
Thank you, Arpit. Thank you so much. And I'm very delighted to welcome Harsh Jain as our speaker for today's session. Before the session started, I was just, speaking to him. And you all will be surprised to know that he's all of 25 years old. So I asked him, at this age, you have 5 years experience. So he said, yes, started working at the age of, around 19. So very young and brilliant, speaker with us today. And he began his career as a data analyst. And within a short time, he successfully transitioned to the role of data scientist at PerpetualBlock. Now, PerpetualBlock is a proper AI, ML, machine learning company. And he has been working there for the last 6 years. He's a passionate problem solver who brings a unique combination of skills in both data science and finance. Because he's a graduate in finance from Delhi University. His work has also been recognized in various publications and patents, particularly in the area of machine learning in equity market. Currently, Harsh is making stride at this organization by focusing on implementing generative AI solutions. He leverages the retrieval augmented generation RAG framework to enhance advanced research and analytics, setting new standards in the industry. Uh, so I think today's session is covered into two parts. One is going to talk about the prompt engineering part. So prompt is how you interact with an LLM, and I mean, unless you know that, you cannot make the best of any LLM. It's a very vast subject, but he's going to cover about, the basic, essentials that every person must know. So that is one part, and then he's going to talk about the custom GPT part of the ChatGPT, where we can create our own version of the GPT. So two very, very interesting topics, and I think the whole session is going to be very interesting. And you can all start putting, wherever you have any doubt, you can start putting your questions in Q&A. So very excited to have him and share his insight and experiences with us. So please join me in welcoming, giving a warm welcome to Harsh Jain. Welcome, Harsh. So over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Arpit sir, as well for putting a lot of words for me. But I'd really like to thank this esteemed organization, WIRC, to inviting me in this, for involving me in this Tech Edge series that they're running. And I am sure this series is definitely going to help us build the community in a very interesting way, or very, AI way, that I can say. To Just to add to what Dinesh sir said, during my graduation days, I was also, forced by, or persuaded by my parents or my colleagues to pursue a CA, and I had also given the CPT as well, the Common Proficiency Test, and I cleared that in the first attempt. But post that, I got this job, and God had different plans for me to transition my career into finance, and from finance to the technical roles that I'm involved in these days. But I'm really, touched, very grounded with the community of CAs. Most of my friends, my colleagues, my family members are already CAs, are pursuing CA, and I'm very grateful to the community that the ICI is building. So yeah. So just to start, I'll just share my screen. Let me know if everyone can see the screen.
Visible here.
Yes. So, as Dinesh sir said, we're starting with today's topic, that is mastering prompt engineering. This is the first part, and custom GPT creation in the Chat GPT module. So when I talk about prompt engineering, we'll do some recap. I've been told that this TechS series has been running for a long time, and now the CAs or the members of this group are well versed with the basics of what is the technology is. So we'll just start with some icebreaker questions, or uh, some intro or recap to the GenAI. Then we'll deep dive into what is prompt engineering, what are the basic prompts, what is even a prompt, how do you make a best prompt, an ideal prompt, what it looks like. And then we can follow up the different types of prompt engineering, the different techniques, the different complex techniques, how to get the right answer from the AI by putting the right instructions to it. And then we'll go to the next module, which is custom GPT, which is the newest, coolest thing in the space these days, and it is creating a lot of hype that you can create your own personal GPT, which is customized to your own task that you want to do. And then we'll deep dive into the demos as well. We'll have some real use case related to accounting and taxation related use case, and then we can follow up with the questions and uh, answers. So I'll just start with generative AI. Before that, can I just ask how many of you guys use chat gpts once at least a day? If I can get a raise of hand. It's nice. Nice, more than once a day. Oh, some of the people don't use it, but let's make sure you'll use it post this session. 5 times, nice. Based on the use case, definitely at least once a day. So yeah, so now we can be assured of by looking at these answers that generative AI, this chat GPT, has already created a hype in the world, and it is getting used by the general people that are out there, and it is proving useful for them as well. Okay, so I'll just give a brief recap. What is artificial intelligence, and how we connect generative AI into the biggest basket of artificial intelligence? So, as you can see on the chart, the AI is the biggest bucket, and then you have machine learning into it. So, machine learning is a part of traditional AI where the machine learns on the basis of patterns and answers on the basis of the data provided to it. It is not the machine learning is not being able to generate the data out of its own. It just learns the patterns and gives the answer on the basis of the patterns that is it has identified. And then the next stage of AI came, the deep learning part, where the patterns were not only identified by the machine on its own, it would also mimic those patterns to generate or to predict the right things that is according to the data that it has been provided. And then under deep learning, the newest technology came, which is generative AI, which specifically deals with creation and generation of new content. So given an input data, it understands the pattern as the AI, all of the modules does, and then generates new content based on the learned patterns. So what is generative AI? It basically focuses on creation and generation of new content. It is trained on large data sets. Large data sets, like for example, the GPTs of the world are trained on the whole Wikipedia's knowledge, or the whole of the open source knowledge that is there on the web. So they are trained on it, and how do they work? They just learn how do the words are placed in a sentence, and that is how they create text out of it. So text is one of the use case that is there in the generative AI. And then you have image generation as well, then you have video generation as well, like all of the modalities that are there. So how do these LLM work? Well, so LLMs, basically large language models, are a part of generative AI where you focus on the language part, not the image, not the video, but the language part. So base architecture of LLM model is the prediction of next word. So how do they work is they have been trained on all of the sentences that are there on the web, on the Wikipedia, or on any other platform, open source platform that is there. They have learned the pattern or the probability they have calculated to what could be the next word that is there in the prediction list. So in the example, you can see, if you provide the cat, there are three options, and probability against each is the cat eats, the cat stays, the cat sat. The highest probability is 0.5 because of the all of the sentences that the model has been trained on. The GPTs of the world has been trained on has the cat sat as the most probable answer in this two words prediction. And if we put the cat sat, then you have at, in, and on has a biggest probability because of the fact that the cat sat on is the right grammatical thing which makes sense. The cat sat on the, which has 0.9% probability, and then cat sat on the mat, which has the highest probability. So this is how a model generates the text basis calculating probability of every next word that is there. So it predicts the next word and then generates the content. So for I'll just introduce one of the concept over here as well, called temperature. So if you set the model's temperature to be very low, what do I mean by temperature is how creative you allow the model to be. So if you allow the model to be very less creative, it will always choose the most high probability words that could be there. And if you choose the temperature to be high, that is, you are prompting the model to be more creative and generate newest content which is not even there in the system, not is it is being trained on. Then it will choose the numbers or the uh, text which has the probability even low, and then you have this probability of generating wrong content as well, but it could be creative in that sense. So how do these model work? You have a transformer model architecture, and this is more on the technical side, that transformer models were more were introduced through a paper called the paper introduced by Google, which uh, back in 2017, which was the architecture of these generative AI or the text prediction models that are there. So not going much into the tech side, I'll just go on to the next thing that we have to do, the prompt engineering, the main thing. Okay. So before we start with the basics, I'll just have to tell fun facts about prompt engineering, how this was used, and how did it create positive and negative AI results as well. So first example is NASA's super prompt called Bidara. It is a a nature inspired prompt. It is a long prompt which was created by taking inspiration from the nature, and it is designed in a such a way that it mimics the biodiversity that we have in our nature. So this was a prompt that created a lot of hype, that the AI is now being able to replicate what is happening in our biodiversity in a series kind of a way. So it was a breakthrough prompt that is there. It is an open source prompt, uh, and we can read all of it through, and it is one of the ideal prompts that we can see. Second is there was a research in by the DeepMind, by a company called DeepMind. They found that just writing a simple prompt like "take a deep breath, work on this problem step by step," including this in the prompt, will increases the accuracy of the content that is getting generated. So they experimented on this, and it led to a 9% accuracy boost over the best performing baseline after they included this line: take a deep breath and work on this problem step by step. It's just like you giving a human that just think slowly, take a deep breath, calm down. You can include these kind of things as well in the prompt, and then the model actually performs better. This is the research that they have done. And one of the negative use case or negative result that was there because of the bad prompting, or uh, wrong things to be included in the prompt. So there was this real world use case where the lawyer in New York federal court generated uh, a legal motion using ChatGPT, and the ChatGPT cited a section which was never existing in the law, and the lawyer did not check it, and he submitted into the court, and his uh, the subscription or the whatever the the his practice thing was snatched from him. So this was like a very bad use case. But like, he did not included the things like you have to stay within the knowledge, you have to keep the things that are there in the you have to remember all of the things that are there in the law. these kind of things were not included in the prompt. Therefore, the model hallucinated, and it came up with a section which was not even there in the law. So we can conclude by these that LLMs are experts at simpler tasks, but it confuses on the complex ones. But we can obviously, for all the complex problem, it's just like all the what the human does, breaks it down to the into the simpler task and then generate the answer. And that is how we'll learn how to break the complex task in different kind of prompting to get the answer which is correct or not being hallucinated from the AI model. Yeah. So what is a prompt? So in very layman term, prompt is a way to talk to the generative AI models. It's a simple natural language prompt. In English, you have to write instructions, you have to write what you wish for in English terms, just like how you interact with each other with the generative AI model to get the output from it. So a prompt is an input to the generative AI model that is used to guide its output. Whatever we want from the system out of it, and how do we want it. That is how you what these are the instructions that you put into the prompt, and you get the content out of it. So prompt, as I already said, generative AI is not limited to text. Prompt may consist of images, text, sound, or any kind of media, even in the input stage. So prompt is the input stage, and generative AI models are capable of generating these text, image, sound, or any other media as well. So if I go to, I'll just go to a Gemini portal, and we'll see how do we input us image and get the output from it. Just allow me a moment. I'll just upload an image over here from my system. And I'll just write what is the trend in this stock and identify if there are any patterns. So there is a this as a part of this prompt, I have put in an image which is taking the input. So this is the prompt taking image as an input, and we can see the output coming into the text format. So see, the trend in the stock appears to be up. There is a highlighted region labeled called evening star on the chart. And you can then take audio inputs as well, these models, and even the video inputs as well. Okay. Coming back. Okay. So prompt engineering. Now, till now we have learned what is a prompt. Now, how to engineer prompt. So first, what is prompt engineering? By the definition, it is process of designing and refining input prompts. So designing the prompt, it could include many elements like the persona, like the task you have to do, the context which you have to give to the prompt, and it is to be the most accurate and relevant content that is to be input, and to expect the model to give the most accurate and relevant responses. So these models come work on a very simple concept: junk in and junk out. If you feed in junk in your prompt, it will definitely provide you junk in your answers as well. So the prompts, when you design the prompts, it could the context, the input of the prompt should be most accurate, and the relevant things should be included in the prompt to understand or to get the most accurate responses from the system. So what are the importance of prompt engineering? It improves the accuracy. First, as I said, when you improve the input, it improves the output as well. The domain specific application, since these models are trained on the world's knowledge, there could be some reasons where, or there could be some areas where this model is not being trained on a very technical way. Let's suppose income tax act. These models could be trained on income tax act, the models which are open source, but they could not be trained in such a way that they could interpret the law or the act in right manner. So you can in your prompt include the methods of interpreting the section. How do the human interpret, write the relevant instructions that this is how you interpret a law, how this is how you read the law, and then get the most accurate response that you are looking for from the system. So for few of the domain specific applications that the models, the model as a whole could not be trained on, can be done via prompt engineering. And of course we have the third one, the innovation and creativity. You can always include your include the creative things in your prompt to so that you get the most creative output of the system as well, since since the models are now being able to generate images, videos as well. So most of the many of the platforms that are there in this time, which are creating images or which are creating videos for the different use cases, are using AI to vet their innovation and to be more creative on that sense, that regard. And the last point is data utilization. So if you this comes back again to the point that these models are being trained on a very limited knowledge, that could be world's knowledge, but that it is only the open source knowledge. Now what if you want to utilize the data that is in your lying in your spreadsheet in your system? You have to utilize that data and then get the answer from it. Now you have to provide that data, and prompts will include the method of how do you read that data to get the answer that is required. So data utilization, your personal data utilization could be there when you include into the prompt. What are the applications of this? The natural language, all of the natural language processing tasks, the English language tasks, whatever you have to do, these can be automated through the NLP, uh, through the generative AI models. The specific business domain problems, just like I said in the income tax example, that you have a specific domain technical issue that is there in while reading or while encountering to a issue that is there in this in a notice or something like that, then you can prompt the system in such a way that you provide all of the background to it, like this was the background, this is how the case is being running on, now this is the uh, section that you have to interpret, or how you want to interpret this section, and now tell me, will this particular clause will be applicable or to me on this case or not. And the last thing is automation. See, by automation we are not saying that the prompting is not at all about coding. You see, automation in our daily lives is just by putting the data on the systems like these chat gpt, gemini, and all of these things, and automating your day-to-day routine tasks, and it doesn't involve a bit of coding. See, prompting is when the generative AI models came, it was the breakthrough that every user can interact with a machine learning or a AI model with in a natural language, in a English language. That is how you can achieve automation at every stage or at every corner of the world, that every person who can write or who can speak English or any other language for that matter can interact with the AI model to get his or her tasks done. Okay, and prompt engineering, the key components. So first is understanding model behavior. How do you craft prompts? And of course, the prompts, once the prompt is not giving an answer, you have to iteratively refine the thinking of the model. Like how do you want to proceed for proceed towards getting the answer? That comes through different iterations, and that is how you get the most refined answer post the iterations that you have interaction with the model. So next is elements of a prompt. So prompt basically consists of four elements. First is the instructions, second is the context, third is the input data, and fourth is the output indicator. So first are the instructions. So what is instructions is basically what is that you want to achieve from the system, from this prompt. Like in the example, it is classify the text into neutral, negative, or positive. It's a basic prompt that a basic instruction that you are giving to the AI system, that you have to classify the text into neutral language, neutral sentiment, negative sentiment, or positive sentiment. The second is context. If you want to provide some context to the model, that you will be provided with text which is related to which is the feedback that I received from my food joint that I have opened, or from the movies that I watched, or from the news that I have read. That is the context you are setting for the model, that you have to think in a way that now you have to refine your thinking to food joints, or to news that is being read, or to the movies that are there in this the new movies that are the latest movies that are there. Third is the input data. Input data is what is the text that you want to classify, right? Text is, I think the food was okay, which is the input. Now this is the input thing that model has to classify, and the output indicator is sentiment. You have to define, in this example it's just written sentiment. The better way is to write what is a sentiment, how do you define neutral, what is negative for you, what is positive for you. You can include things like, you can add examples of negative prompts, positive negative text, positive text. You have keywords over there, that bad is a negative keyword, good is a positive keyword. This basic knowledge, I understand this model have, but it's always good to write things down into the prompt, so that you are leaving no chance of hallucination or getting the wrong output of the prompt. So how do a ideal prompt look like? So this chat GPT has a prompt formula which has 6 parameters or 6 elements. So first is the task, second is the context, third is exemplars, persona, format, and tone. We'll go one by one using this example only. So this is a prompt where you are a seasoned investment analyst with a knack of predicting market trends. So you have set a persona against the model, that this is the task, this is the role that you are being assigned to. Now you are a seasoned investor, you have to think yourself from a point of view that you are the expert in this area. I was just chatting before this meeting with the organizers, and they were just telling me that when you write the persona that I am basically the chairman of this company, of this organization, or these kind of things in your prompt, the answer, the output that the model gives, it's completely different when you would just write the task down, that draft a detailed investment report for selecting a specific text box. So persona is a very important element of a prompt. You will have to define what is the role that you are giving to the AI model, or what role should the AI model accompany while answering the or while performing the task that you are providing. Second is the task. When you have decided refined the persona, the next thing you will have to do is craft the task. The craft a detailed investment report outlining the reasons for selecting a specific tech stock. So this is the task that you have to do. This is, you have to draft a detailed investment report outlining this. You can list down all of those things that you have to include in your investment report, and or you can just simply write that on a high level as well, that your report should include a report should look like a well crafted report with multiple pie charts, graph charts, these kind of things on a high level. That is where you are thinking, you are leaving a space for the model to think on its own, like which bar chart should it plot, which data should it include in the pie chart, or which data should it tweak in a way that it could be made in a tabular format or any kind of a format. But if you specify that I want revenue growth of this company in a line chart format, then you are leaving no space for the model to hallucinate or to give you false results. It will simply say, either it will do it or simply say no, that I cannot, because this is the data you haven't provided. But if you have provided the data and you have outlined the task very efficiently, that very crisply, that this is the thing that I want a line chart for the revenue trend analysis, or for the expense trend analysis, or for the price trend. So then your output will look like that only. The next is context. You'll have to provide a context where you are providing the model to basically think for all of the knowledge sources that it could attain, to highlight the factors that make this tech stock a promising investment opportunity. So it will now look for ways, how do a stock is a possible how does a stock is a possible investment opportunity, and that is how it will compare the factors for a promising investment opportunity to the factors of this stock. And post that comparison, it will highlight the factors in this stock. So that is how you did the context setting part, that this is the knowledge base that you have to look for, that what is a promising investment opportunity. So it will look for it and then compare the factors of this stock against the ideal promising investment opportunity factors. Next is, you can include examples of successful tech stocks that are there. So including examples is always a good way to reduce, or to get the answers in very formatted or a correct way. So including examples mean, you can, in this particular example, you can include examples of successful tech stocks. It will analyze those tech stocks from the point of view of being a promising investment opportunity, and then recommend the features that are overlapping in this tech stock. So including examples means that, for you have included example, like for example, in a stock like Apple, you have revenue growth like this, you have expense growth like this, you have R&D growth like this. All of these things you can put it into the example, and that is how you are instructing, or providing basically context again to the model, कि this is how you have to think, or these are the factors you can check for a in a successful tech stock. The next is the format, the structure of the report. Now you will have to define the output as well. Till now, in the first two paragraphs, you have defined what is the input, what is the task, what is the persona, what is the context. You have provided examples. Now, how do I want the output? I want the output in a report format, structured report with clear sections: introduction, company overview, financial analysis, market trends. See, I could have written the prompt till here only, structure the report with clear sections. Now I am leaving the space for the AI to decide what all sections could it include in the report. And that is how if you are generating multiple reports using this prompt, you can lead to inconsistency among all of those outputs. But if you define the output, that these are the sections that I want in the report: introduction, company overview, financial analysis, and market trends. Now all of those output that you will get out of the system will include these 4 or 5 sections in the report. So that is how you make your output consistent and reliable. And last is the tone. Since you are dealing with a language model, and it is the task of the model is to generate content, you have to, or you can always instruct the model to adopt a particular tone: professional tone, confident tone, or in a example, in a scenario where you are generating poems, let's say, then you can adopt a tone like that you poetic tone, something like that, or some fun tone that could be there in those kind of cases. And in a example, like when you are creating a investment report, then your tone, the language should be professional and confident. So this is how an ideal prompt and all of the elements of the prompt should look like. Your prompt should always have a persona. I'll repeat. Second is the task, the context, the knowledge base that it could use, the examples, the format, and the tone. So if you include all of these things, six things in your prompt, you are leaving less space for the AI to even hallucinate or to even think of going to the next thing that are there. You are basically limiting the thought process or the data set that you have to look for the AI. Yeah. Next, we'll cover do's and don'ts in a prompt. So, first is, of course, be clear and specific. As I already mentioned, when you are not clear, you are basically giving junk to the model. If you are not, the language that is to be put in the prompt is not at all clear. Even by reading it, there is a chance of both. If there is a binary statement and it could mean both true and false as well, then you are not being clear in your instructions to the AI, and that is how you model has to think. Model has to apply more cognitive skills, where these generative AI models are developing these skills, but not at this stage that providing just a statement which could mean both true or false gives you a definite response. So, for getting the right response, you have to always be clear and specific in your asks, making prompts unambiguous, specifying format, tone, and the desired output that you want. Defining that into a prompt will always lead to a better and a clear response from the system. As in the example, you can see provide actuals of the forecast variance. So you are not at all providing in this example what what forecast, what variance, what is to be analyzed. Nothing is there in this prompt. Now if you see the prompt which is down below, summarize actuals to forecast expense variation for Q1 2023. That is how we are being specific. For North America region, including expenses lines drove from the greatest variances and why. So we have given a very clear specific line to the model that you have to think in this way. You have to first filter out the quarter 123 data for the North America region, include all of the expense line, and and why is the main thing that you have to analyze from this data. Second is provide context. So you have to always treat these models as your assistant. You have to always guide them to do the task. Always considering these LLM models as an first year graduate or a intern that is working under you. You have to guide those interns, right? You have to guide those people to go into the right direction. You have to mentor them. So that is how you exactly have to deal with the LLMs. You have to guide the LLMs to get the right data and then analyze that data to get the perfect output. So, as in this example, create a forecast simulation that assumes sales decrease or cost increase. And if we look at the better prompt, model a forecast simulation where US sales falls by 5% and my cost of sales increases by 10%. Like, what is the PNL impact? So here, so both of the prompts in both of the prompts you are trying to do the same thing, but in the prompt that is below, you have a very clear, very guided approach to the LLM that how you want to see the data, because you have set the boundaries of 5%, 10%, and you have now given the task to impact analyze the impact on the PNL. Third is considering phrasing. So we have to avoid open-ended questions here. So in the example that you can see, which active customers are the riskiest? So this is an example that is there from a FMCG, could be from a FMCG brand, or the brand where uh, which could be loan defaulters as well. So if you see which active customers are the riskiest, we have not at all defined over here what is risky over here. How do you define riskiest? Now in the better prompt, looking at historical on-time payment details. Now we have defined what we have to look at. Which five customers with open account balances are most likely not to pay? This is the risk. Most likely not to pay. We have defined the risk, and we have defined the data that we have to look at, the historical on-time payment details. So that is how you analyze the risk. We are guiding the model that that is how you have to analyze the risk, by seeing the historical payments. And what is the risk? The risk is defaulting. But in the above example, there was no highlight of uh, customers which are at risk. Okay, so we'll move to an example which includes legal prompting. So these are few examples you can do. You few use case that you can try. You can try tracking changes in the law. You can write a prompt that tell me about changes in the Immigration and Nationality Act, drafting legal documents like audit report, reply to any notice that is being posed to you. Legal research, you can conduct legal research by prompting the system to get the right interpretation of the law, or right understanding of the law is that is there. How do you answer to the questions that are being posed, legal questions that are being posed? Refer to the different case laws, different regulations, different document that is there in your database, or in the global domain. Then you can guide those LLMs, large language models, to conduct a research on this n number of documents and provide you the right set of information that was to be extracted from each. So I'll just go through this example. So again, we are just going through how do you write an idle prompt when you are doing a legal research, let's say. So first is specify your output format. In this example, I wanted a JSON output format, mentioning few fields like act of law, court names. So let's suppose I was given a case law. I was to extract all of these things from that case law. I uploaded that case law and I have written the prompt of the input, but the output format is right. I have to get a JSON format which will have the following keys: act of law, court name, judge name, section of the laws, and this list can go beyond. This is how I'm defining how my format should look like. It should be a JSON format with these keys, these values, these keys, these values. I can include examples as well. Second is assigning a role in your prompt. Again, emphasizing this is the most important thing that you can do, or most productive thing that you can get out of the system. If you assign a role and you just say the system that you are expert at this, it will definitely, the research is this, that you will definitely prove to be a better AI model or AI assistant that is there for you. So let's suppose in this legal prompt that we are discussing, I have assigned a role. You are a legal assistant who summarizes tax related content. It's a simple prompt. You can obviously add to it like you are an expert. You have an expertise in reading the Income Tax Act. You pose a vast years of experience reading the content that is there, the different commentaries that are there. You know all about this. How do you define the role is very important. You can be very much detailed in defining the role as well, and you will always end up with a better output, or a desired output that you want out of the system. Next is mention any relevant context. You have to let's say I want the answer from a particular commentary. Let's say I want the model to refer to an open source commentary, let's say Sampad Iyengar's commentary. And I just prompt the system that answer based on the following commentary. I'll just, if it is open source, I'll just write out the name Sampad Iyengar's commentary, and then you can refer like this is what is this commentary looking like, and how will you get the answer from this commentary. And then you are basically refining the context or the knowledge base of the system that is there. And the last thing is avoid ambiguity wherever possible. We have to avoid all of the statements that could be confusing for the system. So if you see, a bad example would be, tell me about personal injury cases. Or a better example would be, what are the steps and legal requirements for filing a personal injury lawsuit in India? Where in the bad example we are leaving chances of ambiguity or chances for the model to think on its own and response from its knowledge base. Tell me about personal injury cases. It could think of that you are sitting in US and it starts popping out the US law that is there. Now, in the better example, you have defined injury lawsuit in India. That is how you get the right answer from the system, by defining what all, by avoiding ambiguity, mentioning the relevant context, assigning the role, and specifying the output format that you want. Okay, now we'll move to prompt engineering, the types. How do you, what all types of prompt engineering that are there? So first is zero shot prompt engineering. This is basically, first we'll talk, so basically there are two types of prompt engineering. First is in context, second is out of context. We'll talk about in context first. In context is basically, you in a prompt, what all you can include. So in the context of the prompt that is there, what all things you can include in the prompt, in the context of the prompt. Context is basically the text of the prompt. So first is zero shot. You are just providing, in this you are just providing the task, the persona, or the output format. You are not at all providing the examples that are there. So prompted to complete the task without providing any specific example. Now the second one is one shot. One shot is you are providing one example that is there. So in this use case that I have posted, classify this review. I love this movie. We have, this is the input prompt. I love this movie and I have provided that this sentiment is positive. Now I am asking, classify this review. I don't like this chair. Now the model has to answer which sentiment is this. Now the model has learned ki how do you define positive by reading this example, that I love this movie is a positive statement. Now the model knows now what you are looking for. You are just looking for a sentiment based analysis of a text that is there from just from this example, and it will come out to be in the second statement, I don't like this chair, the sentiment would come out to be negative. The third is few shot. This is where you provide two or more examples to the system. So first was zero shot, where we were providing no examples. One shot, we were providing one example. And third is the few shot, where we were providing two or more examples to the system. See, in any kind of machine learning or AI model that is there, the more the training data, the more the model learns, and more the model has the context, or has the uh, way to think, or has identified the pattern that could be there, even in the machine learning stage as well. The quality of the training data is most important when you talk about predicting, when you expect the model to predict things. So in the generative AI models as well, the lot of training data or lot of examples you provide in the prompt will definitely uh, prompt the model to learn how are these examples, how are these output made out of the system. And then you can review that I love, you can basically uh, te- tell the model, basis these examples, now you have to give me the correct output. So let's suppose in
Harsh,
this
there is
example, classify the review.
right.
Yeah.
Harsh, when you explain this,
Yes.
explain what you mentioned within the curly brackets, IMDb reviews. So what is
Sure, sir,
the
sure.
purpose of these
I'll do that.
brackets?
Yes, I'll do that. Okay. So in this example, the task was to classify the review at the end using the following context. We are defining the following context. The context is IMDb reviews. We have collated the data of IMDb reviews. Let's say it's a tabular data, and we were going through each line item where you have the text and the ratings, text and the rating, and you have classified those, like four above you have positive, three above, three below you have negative sentiment against the movie. So you have collated you have collated a lot of examples for these kind of problems. Now, for providing these examples to the system, it is always good to have the curly braces out of it. So whenever you provide an external context apart from the instructions that are there in the system, so these examples would be very long in nature, right? You have hundreds of examples, let's say, from collated from IMDb reviews. Now you have to provide all of these examples into the prompt. It's always better to provide those examples or those the lengthy content into the curly braces format. So that is how the model knows. So this is where this is in the prompt, this is where the examples have started, and this is where it has ended. Now again again the instructions can follow. So first is the instruction part. Second is the context part, which is mentioned in the curly braces only if the length of examples or the length of data is very long that you are providing. Because of the fact that model will confuse where are the instructions ending, where is the example starting, and just to make your prompt more structured, it's always better to provide uh, these examples into curly braces. And also these uh, that could this curly braces thing, this is more relevant from the context when you are using these large language models using an API. What I mean by that is these ChatGPT, Gemini, these have a front end, a platform for you where you can chat, right? But there is a base model that is working behind these platforms. When I have to access that platform via my code or via my system, where I have to just ask the my code will go hit the API, hit the model, and get the answer back without me even looking at it, then you that is called the API connection between the model and our system. So when I am making an API call to the model, and that is where I'll put all of the context in the curly braces, all of the examples, all of the external context that I was providing in the examples. Okay. Next we'll move to more advanced stages of prompting, which includes first chain of thought. So chain of thought is, we'll just go through this example. What is standard prompting? So let's suppose I have posted a maths problem to the model. See, Roger has 5 tennis balls. He buys 2 more cans of tennis balls. Each can has 3 tennis balls. How many tennis balls does he have now? The answer is 11. And the model output gave the answer to be 27, which is wrong, right? We even provided an example. See, this was the input. We provided one question, one answer. Another question by after providing the examples, and then we were asking for the model to give the output. Even after providing one few short example, one short example, the model was not able to detect what was the correct output, because of the fact that model in these complex problems, as I said in the beginning, the LLMs are expert at simpler tasks, but when you go into more complex ones, it kinds of confuses itself. So the model was not able to detect or to answer this question even after the example was provided. But now I'll give you a chain of thought examples. The model, the input will now look like this. The question is same. Now we have explained our steps, that how we arrived at 11. So Roger started with 5 balls. 2 cans of 3 tennis balls each is 6 tennis balls. So 5 plus 6 is 11. The answer is 11. So now we have broken down the whole problem into steps, into the chain, and we have defined our reasoning, our thought process to the model, that this is how you have to build your thoughts. That is exactly what is chain of thought. You started with 5, you have 2 cans of 3 tennis balls each. Now you have 6 tennis balls in the cans. You started with 5. Now you have to add, build your thoughts upon starting from the base, from the most simpler one, and then building the chain of thoughts upon your previous thoughts that were there. Now, if you ask the similar question, The model will break down first. The cafeteria had 23 apples originally. They used 20 to make lunch, so they had 23 minus 20 equal to 3. They bought 6 more apples now, so they have 3 plus 6 equal to 9. So the model now is kind of breaking down or thinking step by step, breaking down the complete problem into logical steps on its own, because that is how we provided the chain of thought. We could have even written in this prompt, you have to think step by step. The model could have returned the right answer because you have prompted that you don't want the answer, you want the reasoning as well. If you always look for reasoning in the prompt, you will always come up with the right set of answer, because you are prompting the model to think step by step because you have to create the reasoning. So whenever you are trying to solve a complex problem, or you are posting a complex issue that could be there to the system, to the LLM model, always ask for reasoning. That is how the model will be forced to think step by step to generate the reasoning and get to the final answer. So this is what is chain of thought. Few more examples, like in the zero shot only. If you see direct reasoning, there was a small sunflower, there was this question and the output was wrong, but just by adding let's think step by step, the model on its own created the chain of thought. We didn't provided the one shot example like in the previous slide that we were discussing, but in this case we prompted that we have to think step by step and then you have to answer the question. Now the model on its own generated the logical chain of thought that could be there, and building the thoughts and providing the step by step answers, it led to the correct answer. It's just like in the in our school days we were supposed to have step marking, right? You always have to think like an examiner, which will judge by the steps. So final answer is okay, but when you ask the model, you'll always have to think like that you have to mark the steps as well to judge the accuracy of the answer. Few short, it's a similar that we have provided the chain of thought to the answer, to the model, and then we are looking for the right answer. Next we have something called agents. Now how does this model think step by step, or how does this model create the chain of thought on its own? Then we have something called agents. And now what if you want to see the chain of thought at every stage that was there? This is the final output, right? So let's suppose we have this agent chain of thought for agent. So I'll just go to the last box. You are in the we were posed with a question. You are in the middle of a room looking quickly around you. You see a drawer 2, a shelf 6, a shelf 9, a cabinet 2, a sofa 1, a safe 1, a garbage can 1, and an armchair 1. Your task is to put the pillow on the sofa. So this is the question that we have put to the model. Now, how it will evolve the chain of thought, and basically for every step that is there, it will prompt you that you have to vet like an agent that it is correct. Like first step, first I need to find the pillow which is more likely to be in the drawer 2. So go to drawer 2 is the first action that the model will take. And using the agentic workflow, you will be asked the user will be asked that is this correct. Now after your when you have uh, c- prompted the model that yes you are right, then you'll arrive at lock 4. The drawer lock 2 is closed. Then the drawer is closed, I should open it first. This is the second action that model is taking at every stage. Whenever the however the model is building the thought will get your confirmation through the agents, and then uh, before arriving it to the final answer. So this is how, and this is also called react prompting. Reason and act. First provide the reasoning and then acting upon the reasoning that you have provided in the previous step. First the reasoning and the act, then the reasoning, then the act. So input, first reason, it will go into the input for the second output, then second output will go into the input again to generate the third output. And these are, we just wanted a one simple line answer, right? Put the pillow, your task is to put the pillow on sofa. We just wanted to do that, but for every step that was there, we were just guiding the model that yes, you are going into the right direction. So this is how you define chain of thoughts in an agentic workflow, and that is more from the coding standpoint, the agentic workflow. But these chain of thoughts that is there, you can achieve these kind of interactions with the model through the platforms where you can chat and simply write. Let's think of step number one. What could be step number one? Step number one would be to go to the drawer 2. The model will answer that, and now you get, okay, nice, that's, you are correct. Now you have to go to the step number 2. So that is how you can interact with the model to get to the right answer finally, to develop the chain of thought. Okay, there is one example from the income tax standpoint only. We have written a prompt. So from the context provided, identify which sections, subsections are most applicable to the provided question. Do not go beyond the provided context. So why we have written this line? Do not go beyond the provided context. So this is called negative prompting, because we have written, because of the fact that we don't want the model to hallucinate, to look for knowledge around the globe and hallucinate then to generate the content that is not relevant. We are just prompting the model, we are providing you the information. There is no need to look for the information to generate the answer. You limit to the provided context, provided examples, provided information, and then answer the question. So for example, quote the text. So yeah, I'll just read that line. Then for each selected section and subsections, do the following. Now here we're defining the task. In double quotes, word by word, quote only the applicable provision conditions of the section subsection. So through this prompt, I was trying to answer a legal question using the Income Tax Act. By reading the Income Tax Act, I was providing the Income Tax Act as an input and the question and this prompt as well. So wherever I was, when I was providing, this is the output format that I was expecting. The I wanted the exact word by word quote of the provision that was there in the Income Tax Act. And here I have included one shot prompting by including one example that, for example, quote the text of the section as given below. If I had to go with section 16.2, then I wanted this text as it is in my output. And that is how I provided the example. And after that, analyze each provision condition in simple language, then explain how that particular provision condition is applicable for the question, in hand, and in legal language. And that is how I've defined the tone as well in the last. So here I have provided the one shot example, the task, and the chain of thought as well for looking for analyzing each provision condition in simple language. Now we can go to multimodal prompting. See, these models, text model, the large language models, LLMs, are basically for generating text and taking input as text only. Now, what if we want more complex inputs like image as an input, output as an image? Therefore there the need of multimodal prompting came in. You can always put an image into the prompt, just like we had this short demo of putting the stock image on Gemini, taking giving the image as an input to the model, and then generating the output out of it. There you have something called graph of thought as well. You can give a graph where the connection, see, chain of thought is basically how you think is written down in a chain of steps. Now what if you have multiple nodes connecting to each other in a particular question or a particular scenario? Then you have something called graph of thought as well, where you can put a graph, a multiple connection based graph, a knowledge graph into the system as an image to get the relevant chain of thought extracted to get the right answer. And similarly, when you have to go with visual chain of thought, it's similar to in putting the image as a and providing the caption to it, that this is the image of a large sunflower that is there in the picture, and you have to do this. Then you have visual chain of thought, like how you want to do it. It's a large, you have a small sunflower which is looking into the which is clear through the image, and you have a large sunflower as well. This is one of the use case as well. You have here, I'll just highlight that providing the right format and steps to be followed by generating the for generating the output. Here you can see I have in the I was here to I would in this particular prompt I was to generate a test report from by reading the test results. I have to generate I wanted to generate a report out of it. Okay, there were multiple tests in the input report, and the output format I have given four different classifications of the format, and I've detailed out all of this, but what I want in the particular report that I'm looking for. Start by naming the test and the patient score, the abnormal test result, what was the result, give you the meaning of this test in both scientific and in layman's language as well, possible reasons of these abnormal results, explain at least 3 4 basic reasons for this abnormal results that you could think of from your knowledge, and then basically any other test patient should undergo basis these results, and the recommendation as well. So there I had put Indian guidelines, Indian medical guidelines for reference to answer or to get the right set of report out of the system. I'll just briefly touch upon there was this recent paper that was being published in the month of June only on different types of prompting. From there, I have extracted few of the images of all possible ways of prompting. There were around 100 of ways that were listed how you can prompt. I'll just highlight a few of them which could be important. First is style based prompting, and we can refer to the example like write in a formal tone, dear sir, madam. If we have to draft an email, you have to write you have to define the style in which you have to define write the email. It should be a formal email. We have to write dear sir, dear ma'am. Second is emotional prompting. To emphasize upon a point, you can always put emotions into the system, like this is very important to me, this is the most important thing that you have to consider while answering this question. These are the things that you can include. Take a deep breath, just as I was talking about in the beginning. Take a deep breath, think slow, think step by step. These are the emotion based prompts that you can include. Next is negative prompting, where you can include things like avoid generating extra digits in hand, avoid going just stick to the context that you have provided, do not create, do not do anything this, do not answer if you don't know the answer, just say I do not know the answer, do not hallucinate, or these kind of things you can include in the prompt as well. And you have reverse chain of thought, where based on the answer you are instructing the model to reconstruct the problem again, to basically this is the part of react prompting that I was talking about. You get the answer, you go back to the system, reconstruct the problem based on the answer, and then use it for the future reference. Same chain of thought, the chain of thought that was being able to generate that answer, you can use same chain of thought in the different code as well, or different prompt as well. Then you have k nearest neighbor, where you can find similar examples. You can include this in the prompt, that you have to find similar examples for better guidance. You have written, let's say, 2 or 3 examples in your prompt, then you can go to the system and say you can find similar examples for better guidance. Next, we have images and text prompting that we have already discussed, that we can put image as an prompt, where we were in the Gemini portal that I was showing, we put it as a stock chart image into the prompt to describe the content or to extract the information out of it. And then we have graph of thought, where you are either giving the graph as an input to the model, where you have multiple nodes connecting into the graph. You may have you have a complex structure that you are giving as an input, as a graph based input, or you are either asking the system to create a graph that represents the reasoning step. You can create a decision tree based graph as well, right? You started with this has possible two scenarios, yes, no. If you click on yes, then you have this two scenarios. Like these kind of decision trees, decision based graphs you can create out of the system. And then you have something called self evaluation prompts as well. You can just include the line, evaluate and improve your answers based on a defined criteria. Not even you looking at answer, you are just guiding the model. Whenever you are done, you are just writing that whenever you are done generating your output, evaluate your output based on these many criteria, based on language, based on format, based on tone, and then improve your answer based on upon it. In the platforms like ChatGPT, this could be done via interactive conversation that we have with the model, the chat interface. But in the API based subscriptions, subscription based prompting, you can include all of these things into a single prompt only. Like post that you have completed generating the answer, you can evaluate and improve the answers basis some defined criteria. So yeah, so we're just finishing the prompt engineering portion. I'll just want to highlight 8 most important facts. First is the quality of input. As I have already said, the junk input, junk output. So the quality of input in the prompt influences the output. You have to be sure that the input that you are providing into the prompt is very much quality. The quality of the input is good. It is clean in nature, or it doesn't have junk values here and there. The examples that you are providing are very much clear and are relevant to that output that you were looking for. Second is diversity in input prompts. uh, Third is prompts are not only text based, that we have discussed, that prompts can be image or video based as well. AI models can be trained to generate content specific to an existing style. Yeah, this is more to a fine tuning kind of a use case, where you can provide examples, like few short examples of your existing style, of your existing writing style. Let's suppose you are drafting an audit report and you have to draft 10 audit reports in a year. Then you have to follow a definite writing style, right? Then you can train the model on those 10 existing styles that you have, and the model when it will generate the output will have the similar output in the similar tone or the similar writing style. As we have discussed, clarity leads to better outputs. Less the ambiguous the prompts are, you will get the better outputs. The most important thing is we have to remember the fact that LLMs makes mistakes, and whatever we are discussing, the ways of improving the prompts is eventually what we are doing to remove these mistakes or to eliminate these mistakes. For one of the major thing is that LLMs have a nature. These models are designed in a way that they have to generate content, and they can hallucinate. They can generate the text on its own. So the guardrails, you have to put guardrails in your prompt. You have to use negative prompting in your prompt, that do not go beyond this knowledge. Do not include this in your prompt, in your output. Do not, if you do not know the answer, just say not found. Do not make up your own answers. These kind of things you have to include in your prompt to uh, reduce the chances of LLMs making mistakes. Uh, of course, continuous monitoring is vital in prompt engineering. Uh, React kind of a prompting where human feedback is very much important. You cannot just rely on the system to generate the correct output. You have to monitor it step by step, and then improve the thoughts or improve the model basis the interaction with the model. And last, prompt engineering isn't only for experts. Definitely, it's a natural language thing. It's very simple. You have just by remembering 8, 10 to do's, not do's and don'ts, you can be a perfect prompt engineer and you can get the desired output out of your system. So we'll be starting with custom GPTs. In the meantime, can I take some questions if there are any?
Yes, yes, Harsh, there are four questions. So you can just look at them.
Yes.
Harsh, this question, is about these models have already been fed with this kind of data to them. So why we need to provide context, or one shot or few short contexts? There's a question from Ravi Kiran.
Yeah, very good question. So, as I said, these models are trained on a vast of knowledge. These are trained on world's knowledge. To get the right thing out of those models, to see if when you post a question, you can be the model. You are prompting the model to look for all of the things that it's being trained on. But when you provide examples, you are limiting the context of the model. You are just driving the model to think in a particular direction, that this is how you want to we want the answer, and that is where we have uh, the answers hidden in the whole world of knowledge as well. Hope that answers.
Yeah. Acha, this is another question, Harsh. In the tennis ball example, okay, the question is, what is the reason for the incorrect answer? Is it because it's not able to compute, or it is just goes by the language?
Yeah, so as I said, it is due to the lack of cognitive skills that the LLMs have. The LLMs at its very good stage are also weak in kind of doing the maths problems or logical problems that are there. So it's always better so to answer the reason of getting the wrong output is the fact that they lack of cognitive skills. But to get the right answer out of the system, you can always provide the step by step thinking to the model and then get the final answer.
Okay. All right. I think no more questions. I think you can move on to the custom GPT now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just straight away go to the demo. So this chat GPT under the premium subscription have introduced something called custom GPTs, where you can explore the number of GPTs that are being created by the people. So it's basically a play store of GPTs. You can download any of the GPT and use it for the use case. You can search for any GPT, like I want to create slides. So I'll just write slide maker, and it will suggest few of the GPTs that are there to which can help me create the slides. So that is how the people are now creating GPTs for a particular use case. Now I have also already created one of the GPT for which I will show the prompt as well. It is basically financial ratios GPT. It will analyze the given an annual report, what are the different kind of ratios you can have to put, and you have to analyze, and how are the interpretation of those ratios matter. So this is the prompt I had written for making this financial ratios GPT. So you are a financial assistant when provided with an annual report, calculates key financial ratios, provides explanation for each ratio. So I've defined which key financial ratios are there and their formula. Liquidity ratio, explanation, measures the company's ability to pay short-term obligations. Quick ratio, its explanation. Profitability ratios, explain efficiency ratios, market ratios. And then I have defined how do you calculate these ratio, and how do you the model has to perform this analysis. So first is the input. will upload the annual report in a PDF or a text format. Then what you have to do is that data extraction, automatically extract relevant financial data from the report. Then the calculation part, compute each financial ratio using the extracted data and provided formulas. Output, just display the calculated ratios in tabular format. That is, the first column captures the ratio name, the second column has the value, with the top row having the year for which that ratio is calculated. Example, uploaded an annual report, you will calculate and display current ratio as this, net margin ratio as this. So here you have defined a role, you have included example, you have uh, defined the format of the output that you want, and you have given the right context to the model in this prompt. And then you can just go back and upload a annual report. We'll just try this out. I'll just upload a annual report. Yeah, and after post that, when it is completed uploading, you can just say uh, conduct uploaded. So I have reported Vodafone Idea's annual report, and it will first, as I have mentioned in the steps, it will first extract the data that is there, current assets, current liabilities, which all are important for calculating the ratios, and then as a next step, it will do the liquidity ratios. So this is how I am basically confirming the knowledge as well, that whatever current asset value the model here is using, if I had only told the model to return the current ratio as 0.28, I will not be able to know what was the value used, and there could be some chances that model has selected a wrong value. So by first prompting the model to give the extracted data, that is how I'm confirming that okay, the value is extracted over here, it is being put rightly over here, and then it has calculated the ratio. All of those ratios are getting calculated, and at the last you have the table as well in the set format which we wanted, the ratio, the amount, and the year as well. So this is the final table that we were expecting out of it, the output table. And these are the chain of thought or the steps that were involved in calculating or for getting that final answer. So this was so how do you, the question comes, how do you create a financial or these kind of GPTs on your own? So we'll just do a live example, or we'll create a live GPT of our own, where we'll utilize okay. Okay, so you must be accompanied with the concept of reverse charge mechanism, right? And you are being posed as an indirect tax specialist when you are uh, posed with a purchase register which has more than 100k or 200k rows, and you have to identify which all transactions will have RCM or not. So then it's a very manual or a very tedious task to go row by row, check for the rates, check for the invoice description, check for all of those things that are there, that could be falling under the 1617 services that we have for the RCM applicability. So we have written a prompt where you will see that we have defined few, for two services we have defined the rules that are there, which leads to RCM applicability. So I'll just go through the prompt, and then we can create the custom GPT online. So you are an indirect tax specialist in India practicing mainly in GST. You are required to detect transactions under which reverse charge mechanism is applicable for two services. So you will be provided with an Excel file with heading in different columns. That is how I am defining the input, and transactions in different rows. Read the headings for the rules or checks mentioned below. Do not use your own intelligence. Strictly adhere to the instructions and rules provided. This is a negative prompting that I have used. So first service is goods GTA services, goods transport agency services. Instructions for RCM applicability are: identify the service of GTA through item description or supplier name or HSN. For identification purpose, in item description or supply name, try to find keywords such as transportation of goods, goods transport, GTA, freight, highway, carriers, logistics, peg links, these kind of keywords. After identifying the service, through either we can you have to find out the GST tax rate. If some of the tax rate is either 5 or nil, you can say RCM is applicable. And for the second service, security services, identify the service through item description of supplier name or SSC code. For identification purpose, you can use the SSC codes. You have to see their supplier should be other than C or F in this code, that is the GST in that we have, GST in have that we have. And after the steps, simply response RCM is applicable. We have provided two remembering steps as well. If either of the above services is not identified or fails under the checks, respond RCM is not applicable, and produce output in the Excel with adding two more columns. First, column stating the service that you have identified, and second, the column stating that RCM is applicable or not. So I'll just copy this prompt and go to ChatGPT. And I'll just start by beginning. We have to click on explore GPTs and create new GPT. Just go to configure and write a name. I'll just write a name or CM applicability. I can write a short description as well, like helps you detect RCM against any transaction or invoice description. And you have to paste whole of the prompt in this instruction box that is there. And you can upload some knowledge base files as well. If you have encountered with a file which has all of the rules that are there that could be important for RCM applicability, you can upload the file for knowledge base. And then you can select the capabilities that you want to include in this GPT, web browsing that you want to include. You can deselect also. I don't it is important, or you have to judge if it is important in our use case or not. The image generation, I don't think this is important in this use case because we are trying to detect the RCM. And data analysis, yes, data analysis, since will be uploading Excel, we have to include data analysis as under this GPT. And then post this, you have to just click on create. You can select either you want to post this to the GPT store that we were showing, the Play Store of GPTs. Anyone with the link can use it, or only me. I'll just put it for anyone with the link for now. And it will create a GPT for me. And I'll just select GPT is published, and I have RCM applicability over here. Now what I'll do is upload an Excel which has the which is looking like a purchase register. I'll just show that Excel as well. Okay, I'll just write a prompt first that detect. It's uploaded. Yes, it's uploaded. Now we have to write RCM check RCM applicability against each transaction in the provided Excel. I'll just post it, and this is how my Excel was looking like. Input register, which has transportation item description, transportation of goods, freight, steel, HSN, supplier name, supplier GSTN, the rates, different rates. And it will first tell you what was the Excel input file looking like. I'll perform the checks now. It is now performing the checks. It has provided the output, and we have an column called RCM applicability against each of the line item, and it has told the service that it has identified or not. Our good GTA service RCM is applicable since rate is 5. It is a transportation of good service. RCM is not applicable. RCM is applicable again in this goods transport. Security service, night securities company. It had C in the GSTN, and the rate was equal to 18%. So that is how you can automate your daily tasks by just writing down all of the knowledge that you possess by in a Word file into a prompt, and then put it as an instruction on the Explore GPT module, and you can upload your data uh, to get the output that is desired. So in a minute, in a few seconds of processing, we have this RCM tagged against each of the transaction that we had possessed. And also it will show you how this was happening. It will show you the codes as well, that what codes it was it had written down to commit this analysis. This is the length of code that it had written down to get the RCM applicability column. So yeah, I'll just come back to the slides again and just briefly touch on what are the benefits of custom GPTs over standard GPTs. So first is custom instructions. You have, since as we saw in the example, we had provided a lot a big prompt for RCM applicability, and we have provided custom Excel files as well for judging the RCM applicability. So you can provide custom instructions that is not being done in the standard GPT. You cannot set the persona in standard GPTs, because every time you start a new chat, you'll have to again set up the persona and the knowledge that you had uh, you had conversed. The conversation you had with the model in one chat window will not retain in the other chat window. But in a custom GPT, the instructions, the language, the persona you have set one time will remain as it is. Second, it is shareable. You have a shareable link. You can make it online as well on OpenAI GPT store, and then you can share it amongst your team, amongst your colleagues, and everyone who you think can use that. It's easy to start a no coding experience, just like we have built a custom GPT in a matter of minutes. It is that simple only. You can always uh, identify such use cases which could be done via automation, and write those instructions down in a Word file, and then post it into the prompt to get the output. And the cost model, if I talk about the cost, there is no additional cost for developing the custom GPT for the plus subscribers. So there is a $20 monthly subscription of GPT plus, which gives you access to the latest models as well, GPT 4.0, and the other different functionalities, and you get a free access of these custom GPTs as well, where you can create and share and deploy the GPTs of your own. Like unlike building a typical AI application with a lot of codes, you can simply create your own GPT. I'll open the floor for questions again if there are any on the custom GPTs.
Uh, yes, Harsh. There
Yes.
is one question from Mr. Parikshit Menon. He's asking, there is a black box issue with LLMs. What is the risk of humans unable to understand what is happening inside LLM? Is it by giving few short prompts?
Yes. So perfectly said that AI, this is a saying that AI is a black box till then you ask for reasoning. So that is why I was emphasizing on the point, always ask for the reasoning. Exactly, if you provide a prompt or provide a few short example which includes the chain of thought or the prompt or the reasoning steps, then you will always be sure of the answer, and you will always be knowing that what is running into the system and how the system is processing. So that is how you make your own analysis transparent, by asking the reasoning parameters from the system and not considering the output of the AI as a black box. If you'll just ask the answer, final answer, you will never know that how it was calculated, and what was the thinking rationale of the model. In the machine learning era as well, you have something called model explainability, where you, for every prediction that model does, you have something called feature importances and parameters, like uh, different scores are there, like silhouette scores and different scores, to judge which all features were considered to be most important while giving, or while getting this output or getting this prediction. So for AI to not to be considered as an black box, you will always want to ask the reasoning steps. So that is how you make your conversations transparent.
Okay.
Hope that answers. Yeah.
Yeah. We have like one more question. He's asking what, according to you, is the best AI tool? This was also in the chat box, especially for professionals like us. And let's say ChatGPT, Gemini, or any other, or is it the case that more or less all are same?
I would say no. The Chat GPT, the GPT modules in general are very much, widely used and are good at answering things. Gemini, uh, more or less, is kind of same, but there are few issues of Gemini being hallucinating or getting wrong answers. The quality of answers as per the outputs, as per the reports, is good in Chat GPT modules only. And the latest models, of course, Chat GPT's latest model, GPT-4o, it's the desktop application that you have. It has many features, and it creates the user experience very good, and you have models a surety of kind of a surety of getting the right answer. So I would say Chat GPT is the most advanced tool in terms of features and uh, the accuracy of the system.
Okay. Another question is with reference to privacy. So they are just basically asking, can we input data which are like much confidential in nature, and these input data can be used by model providers. Uh, like any comments on that?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. Very good question. And I would say these modules like Chat GPT and Gemini, when used via this front end, when you are using this model, using the platform, using the website chatgpt.com, then they are not assuring that your data is not being used for their model training. So definitely I would suggest you not to upload or not to enter something into the prompt that is very much confidential to you when you are trans you know trans when you are chatting with the model in on these kind of platforms on the front end. But there is, if you want to develop something on your confidential data, on your organizational data, you have something, a concept called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, and that is what I was going to cover next. And just briefly covering that, you in your organization using APIs of these models, APIs of models like GPT-4, you send the data in a secured environment to the model and get the response of the data. And OpenAI explicitly mentions that when the models are being hit via the API, there is no training on the basis of that data. But if you are using it on the front end, they are using that data for model training. They could be using, they have not explicitly mentioned that they are not using. So but in APIs they have definitely mentioned. So in a RAG kind of a structure, what happens is you first retrieve the most relevant information from your own database, send that data, that particular short amount of data, to the model and get the answer from that relevant data itself. And this is how you that is how you make your data stay within your organization. So RAG kind of architecture would work here.
Okay. Another question is, how is Microsoft Copilot, which is integrated with ChatGPT, different from Code ChatGPT? As ChatGPT is a part of Microsoft only. Which one is better to use?
See, Microsoft is a OpenAI is a part of Microsoft, but these products are being developed on standalone capabilities. Microsoft Copilot is being integrated with different Microsoft applications. Like you have in the browser, you have Bing Chat. In the codes, Visual Studio Codes, you have GitHub Copilot as an code assistant. So Microsoft is more focused on building this Copilot by integrating these into the Microsoft suite of products that we have, like the Excel and PowerPoint as well, for that matter. And OpenAI is building something GPT on its own, on a separate. So funding, I know that model Microsoft is OpenAI is being funded by the Microsoft, but these both products are being developed on a standalone basis. And to compare, see, Chat GPT is not Chat GPT or GPT models. These, they don't have a functionality to be integrated into a software or integrated into a system that is already there, like to be integrated in the Microsoft Excel or into your PowerPoint slides. But GitHub Copilot is finding some of the solutions so that you have a button of Copilot in your Microsoft PowerPoint. On the top, when you click on it, assistant opens on the right and you can chat with it to make the slides more interactive. Even editing the slides on the fly, or editing the Excel sheet, applying filters, analyzing data in the Excel sheet using those models opening in the side in the Excel sheet only. So that is how they are differentiating these both products. Copilot is kind of focused on integration with the different apps, more on the user ease point of view. And OpenAI is kind of focused on getting the newest technology, or researching on newest technology, like building models like GPT-4o, and coming out with latest tech or latest possibilities that could be there in the technology.
We have like two, three more questions. You'd like to take them up, or we need to finish the slides?
Uh, I'll just RAG is the last topic that I have to cover. I'll just briefly touch upon it for 2-3 minutes, and then we can take the questions.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, as rightly mentioned in one of the question, that how do we refine our own knowledge, our own organization knowledge, not to be leaked or not to be given to these model training. So we have few other than this, we have few other problems with LLMs as well. One is hallucination. These models, second is these models are being trained on offline, and they have a knowledge cutoff. Like they were trained, for example, GPT 3.5 was being trained till the knowledge that was there on the web till September 2023, 2021, 2022. and GPT-4o, like they have to come up with a newer model to update their knowledge or to increase that cutoff. Like GPT-4o is now being trained on that is the knowledge that is there in the 2024 year, but these are not trained on real time knowledge. Third is consistency. Fourth is domain specificity. Because these models are trained on all of the knowledge that is there, you could experience some of the technical aspects missing from the learning of these models. And control and fine tuning. So you have a solution called RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where as the name suggests, you break down the answer generation in three steps. First is retrieval. I'll just go to the next slide. First is the retrieval. You have your original content over here, the database that you have, the documents. You convert them into Vectors are basically make them searchable, the content, making the content searchable by the system. Then you perform semantic search. Semantic search, as in, this is not only a keyword search. You perform, let's suppose client has posted or a user has posted a query. The Based on that query, the relevant document is being searched into your own database. What document will answer this question? This is called the retrieval portion, retrieving the right set of document that could answer the question. And once you have that once you have that right document, you send it into the prompt to the LLM in the curly braces, and then the LLM returns. You just into the prompt you write, given is the relevant document that will answer the following question, and this is the question. And you will always define the persona, etc., in the prompt. And whole of this augmented prompt, context augmented prompt, will go into the LLM, and LLM will finally generate the answer basis that original content or your in-house content. So that is called RAG architecture model. And these LLMs are being hit using a API that they have provided. Like OpenAI has provided GPT's API, Gemini has provided Google Gemini has provided their API. Or you can basically download few models as well on your local machines and then interact with those models via your system. Like Facebook's Llama, Meta's Llama, is a downloadable model where you can fine tune that model, or you can put it in your in-house premise to interact with the model and get the answer. So that is how you ensure that perfect data security is being maintained, that your data is not getting outside of the system that is there. So yeah. We can take the questions now.
Oh, okay. Um, so we have Mr. Ravi Kiran Hegdeji, and he's asking, specifically from a business and investment analysis, which would be the good model to use, and what would you suggest if I want to go in depth and explore more, like explore in deep, basically.
uh, See, the none of the model as such is being trained just on the financial capabilities or financial knowledge. You'll have to write a set of prompt that guides that model to leverage on the financial portion of the knowledge that the model has. And to answer the question, I would say again, the ChatGPT modules, GPT-4o, and these kind of modules, the latest models, are very much good at answering financial based things as well. And you have custom GPTs as well, right? You can write your own financial prompt that you have to they do these kind of tasks, and then get the answer from those personalized GPTs. But to answer the model, you can always rely on is first is GPT-4.
So Harsh, we have like two related questions. One, she's asking, like, how accurate is if we use the paid version of ChatGPT versus we use the free version. And
Uh,
one is like, sorry, you can start.
Yes, I would say if you are using the free version of GPT, it just lacks few of the features like Explore GPT and access to the latest model, which is GPT 4.0. But the quality of answers, if you have to use GPT 4 in both of the places, like in free, you can use GPT 4, and in paid version you can use GPT 4 as well. So in that case, the answers quality will never differ. It's just that you are
Uh,
missing on some of the features.
so in a free version, can we use the GPT store also? Like someone has used that question.
Uh, I don't think so, because of the fact that you have explored GPT's option opening just on the paid version only.
Okay, okay. Someone is asking, I'm using ChatGPT 3.5, which has limitations for analyzing long text of about 12 pages. I have to divide into three parts and upload one after other. Then how to combine all three parts into one, basically.
It's a very good question. See, GPT 3.5 had a token limit, input token limit of 16,000 tokens only. Post that, GPT came up with newer model GPT-4, which has currently which has 128K token limit. So first option is to either consider shifting to newer models, which will improve your results accuracy of the content as well. And second, if you want to stick to GPT 3.5, then I would say you have to use something like React prompting. Like you have generated answer from the first, you give this input into the second prompt, and then this way you maintain a consistency across all of the three PDFs that you have divided out of that 16 pager.
Can we use Copilot as VBA code assistant? Is there any other VBA code assistant AI?
VBA, I think Microsoft Excel is now providing the Microsoft Copilot as a feature in the Microsoft Excel. I'm not sure about the pricing parameters, but if that is there, they are definitely providing the VBA writing in in the Excel version of Microsoft.
Can we have personalized GPT in Chat GPT itself and not Chat GPT plus?
Sorry.
Okay, so can we have personalized GPT in Chat GPT itself and not Chat GPT plus? So can you have personalized GPT?
Personalized GPTs, like Explore GPTs, if we talk about, yeah,
Yeah.
no, we just have this option in the Chat GPT Plus subscription,
Okay.
which is $20 a month.
So how difficult would it be to self-build a custom GPT or RAG model using Hugging Face? Can we build it ourselves or we need to take expert advice?
It would require, I would say, it would require a bit of coding. If you are using a model from Hugging Face, you have to download a model, and if that model is short, a smaller one in size, then then it can be uh, compatible with your laptop. But if it is a large language model, then you will have to explore the options of having a GPU as well to run even that model, which is being downloaded from the Hugging Face. And then you will have to code all of the APIs, using the API or using that model, code all of the input and output parameters APIs that will be required. So yes, coding is required first, and if it is a large language model, GPUs are being required. So it's a cost-heavy mechanism as well in that sense. But
Uh,
it's just as an FYI, if it is short, smaller model, the coding is a very simple job that one can do. It's a very small 10-15 liner code that you can achieve using RAG, etc.
okay. Can we edit the prompt again in the custom GPT?
Yes, of course. You have the edit option always open. You have to just go to the configure settings again and edit the prompt as many times that you want.
So that's it, Harsh. All the questions are done. So should we like close? Yeah, move towards concluding the session.
Sure, sure.
So, as we conclude today for this insightful seminar on mastering prompt engineering and custom GPT creation in ChatGPT, I'm very honored to deliver the vote of thanks for today. And honestly, Harsh, if you would have seen the chats, people have like asked for a repeat session of this seminar, and like they had a wonderful learning. All the participants would agree with that, and I would like personally recommend WIRC for one more session of today's seminar. And truly it was not only like it enriched our understanding, but we also like got inspired to explore new possibilities, like how this technology can enhance our professional practices. And I'm really very thankful to our WIRC for like making this tech edge seminars and like starting this wonderful sessions. And I finally thank all the participants for your active engagement and contribution throughout the seminar. And Harsh, we look forward for having one more seminar and for future opportunities to learn from you. Like people have
Sure,
asked, you can actually leave your email ID or something. Like there are many
sure.
participants who have asked for your contact details or profile basically.
Yes, I'll just post it,
Yeah.
and I'll just post my LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
And as
Got your
I would
email ID.
also, yes, I would also like to thank the panel, the WIRC, and the wonderful audience that was there. And you have been a great, you have asked some great questions, which I would expect from a, audience which was, definitely learning from the prompting techniques or whatever technology that we are talking about here. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
Dinesh sir is also here, but his audio has some issues. Right.
Okay, okay, no
Yeah.
worries.
So we conclude for today's session. Looking forward to meet you and hear you again. Thank you,
Yeah,
Harsh. Thank
sure.
you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.